What do you mean you won't go down that gravel road? What are you, some sort of simpleton? That's an Africa Twin you're riding, for crying out loud. You don't need new tires. You need a backbone. A flogging for you.
So just stopped in Wyattton and just stopping for a little pop break. Having a little pop break. I just left the bike in the middle of the parking lot because there was nobody around, but then of course as soon as I got off the bike, then all of a sudden everybody starts showing up. I just stopped to have a little drink, and it's a nice place to stop here in Wyattton. If you go down by the harbor and you just want to stop for a snack or something, try to show you the view. It's not bad. I probably could pop the drone up here, but I think I'm saving it for Purple Valley for you. But anyway, nice little place to stop if you want to just pull over. And there's washrooms over there. I just don't know if they're open, so we'll have to check that out. Okay, so we had our little break. The washrooms were not open. So, I'm not that desperate yet, so it's no big deal. When I get to Purple Valley, I don't think there'll be many people around, so I'm sure I could run off in the bush if I had to. But I'll give you a little tip. If you take an Imodium just before you go on a bike trip, you usually won't have to poop. That's right. Take it with a grain of salt. Alright, see if I can get out of here without slipping on all this frickin' sand. That's why I parked like this. Yep, don't like all this sand. Oh well, let's hope for the best. I think the old Twin can handle it. Don't know if my scooter would like it too much, but the Twin can sure handle it. There we go, just go nice and easy. And we're out of here, heading for Road 9. Alright, there it is, Bruce Road 9, Colpoy's Bay. This is where you hang a right. It's not too far coming north out of Wyattton. Colpoy's Bay. So we're starting to get into the area of the history I was going to investigate. So it looks like this road here is going down into Colpoy's Bay. Yeah, I guess this is it. So this bay was named after Admiral John Colpoy in 1762 by a surveyor, one of the first surveyors from the British Commonwealth, when they came down and surveyed this area. And the funny thing is, the British Admiral probably never even saw this bay, because that's what they tended to do, is name a lot of bays after famous or important people. Doesn't necessarily mean that they discovered it or that they were even there. But we are going through Colpoy's Bay, so I'll tell you a little something about Colpoy's Bay.
Oh, really? By where? Owen Sound? A bay? Oh, and you named it after me. Well, that's jolly good, jolly good. Perhaps one day I shall cross the ocean and go visit it and see what it looks like.
So I've turned right onto Purple Valley Road. There was a sign that said Purple Valley, coming up 9. It also goes to Cape Croker and all that. So I must be going the right way. It says Purple Valley, so let's check it out. Let's go! Heading on down to Purple Valley Road. I figure if I just keep following Purple Valley, maybe we'll just see some of these old ruins that I've heard about. Well, I'm seeing a lot of old farms. Not seeing any old ruins yet. I've seen some old barn foundations here and there, but that's about it. And there's so many rocks, and there's so little soil in this area that it really turned out to be not so good for farming. Okay, well, this is about as far as we can reach this way, because this is now the property that goes into the reservation, and the reservations don't want nobody going in right now, so I'd probably get in a whole lot of shit if I went up there. Coveney's Road entrance. Not sure what that's all about, but anyway, stupid COVID-19 screwing it up for everybody. How are ya? Hi. Let me just talk for a sec. A bunch of people told me that in Purple Valley there's all kinds of old 1800s abandoned log homes and stuff. Do you know where I could find them?
Oh.
I haven't seen any.
I don't know if it's abandoned, but I think there's one up here on the right, and there should be one or more.
What do you mean you won't go down that gravel road? What are you, some sort of simpleton? That's an Africa Twin you're riding, for crying out loud. You don't need new tires. You need a backbone. A flogging for you.
You can see there's like an old abandoned barn there. That's about all I see so far. I'm not seeing any old log cabins. And I don't want to go down the old dirt roads just yet. So, I guess that's what he meant. Was those old barn foundations. I was hoping for something a little bit more. So in this area, back around 1870, the British colonialists were in Owenstown, and they're the ones that first surveyed the area. And now 1870 is actually around 20 years after the very first settlers in Grey Bruce. So it took a little longer for them to get to this area, but they sent a gentleman by the name of John McNabb, who brought his family and several other families to settle this area, you know, for king and country and all that, in the name of the Brits, which is surprising because a lot of people tell me that the Scots were here first, and the Germans, a few of them, and the Irish. But actually, for Purple Valley, it was the British coming out of Owen Sound. And so they sent John McNabb and his entourage to this area to settle, and which they did. And they came from Owen Sound and they settled in this area. Remember, there was no roads and no fields. It was just bush like that. And after the first, I think it was within the first few years, they really had nothing going. They barely had their cabins built. I'm going to turn right here, just have a look up here, see if I can find anything. So they had their cabins built, and they desperately needed supplies for their families. And so they sent two of the men of the families to go to Owen Sound to get supplies. Now this was in November, and so November somewhere around 1872, and they got in a small fishing boat. The two dads of the two family, one of the guys, I think his name was McAllister, and there was another one, Johns or something like that. They took the boat down the channel to Owen Sound, which if you look on the map on Google Maps, it doesn't look that far, but in 1872 with a small craft in November, it was a bit of an undertaking to go that far. And so they went down to get their supplies, and they got there and they got the supplies, and then on the way back they got hit with a huge storm in this small craft out in the bay. And the storm was so bad that it capsized the boat, and the boat sank, and both men lost their lives to the icy waters of Georgian Bay. So that's two dads gone just like that, right off the bat, just going on a milk run, you know. That's it's pretty sad. So after that, they settled in, and they were trying to sell this land. And I'm not going to go down this gravel road right now. Like I said, I'm not ready to do gravel just yet. So they tried to sell this land at $4 an acre. This was in the around 1875, 1880. And then as people came and checked out the land, they realized that the land was so crappy for farming. Like what you're looking at now is probably as good as it got. And remember, this wasn't cleared. But they'd clear, and it was just nothing but rocks. And here, I could show you over on this side, as it still is nothing but rocks. Rocks and shallow soil. So you couldn't really farm it very well. It was really unproductive land. So the price went down to about $3.60 an acre. And so people did try to move in and did try to settle it, but nobody could make a good go of it. So the land just never really got developed. And to this day, it's not been a very built up area because of that. And they did eventually, you know, establish the township here. What's it called? Admiral Township. There were some disputes over taxes to the government that went on for several years, but because they were making no money, they couldn't pay anything to the government that sent these settlers here. So that was a bit of a problem. Here's a bit of an old shed. I don't know how old this one is, but we'll have a look. It's about all I could find, and this is a fairly old building too. I don't even know if anyone's living here. It doesn't look like it. And even this was probably just the 1930s, 1940s for this, so it's still not as old as the first settlers building. So I'm a little disappointed. I don't know where to look unless they go bombing around those little dodgy back roads, which I'm not quite ready for yet. We will soon. We'll get there. Maybe I can find something back there. Well, there's one little old shack. Not much to it, but that's how you lived 100 years ago. That's how you lived. One little tiny little room. The only thing you went in there to do was get your stuff and to sleep.
Sally forth! I do believe we can see the habitational artifact ahead. It is truly the habitational artifact of Purple Valley. Sally forth, my man.
Well, it appears I've found one. It's a little outside of Purple Valley, but it's not too far out. It's still the same area. And so this is exactly the kind of thing I'm talking about, is these old family farms. So let's give you a look here. You can see these old family farms. It was just a little barn and a small wooden house, and that was it. And that was their life through the winter, through the summer. And like you said, people, like the family members died just trying to go get supplies. You know, it was that rough out here. So, and you can see the rocky soils. So it's shallow soils, and this is about the best they could get. And this is probably a lot more cleared than it was back in the day. And all these rocks just never ended. And they just couldn't get a good. They just couldn't get a good crop. They couldn't, and it wasn't rich enough to feed livestock, and So all these farms just got abandoned and forgotten.